Some sources suggest that tensions flared when Mr. Dhankar accepted an opposition-backed impeachment motion against the Delhi High Court Judge Yashwant Verma, and that apparently caught the government off guard. It reportedly led to a heated exchange with BJP leaders, and now he's gone. Is that your sense as well?
Okay, Vishnu, diplomatic, yes, but largely truthful and candid. And I don't think there is any inherent contradiction between being diplomatic and candid. Let me make a couple of preliminary points. Preliminary point number one, frankly, no one knows, neither you, nor me, nor the preceding speaker, nor all the speculation in the press. Only numero uno knows, and at the most, numero duo knows. And later on, maybe some of the ministers have come to know. So you must realize that whatever discussions we have, they are good for your TRP ratings and for all of us to have some nice discussion, but we are really speculating. Let's face that truth. Second, I wish Mr. Dhankar well. I wish him the best of health. He's from my state. I have known him as a lawyer, an extremely intelligent man, very acute person. So, irrespective of the reasons behind it, I do genuinely wish him well in the future endeavors of his life.
Dr. Singhvi, sorry, go ahead.
Coming to your question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, coming to your question. There is no doubt that the immediate trigger, and mark my words, immediate trigger appears to be the Verma motion. And you know the stories which are in the press, and we are also members of the Rajya Sabha, and that he admitted a motion in the Rajya Sabha, whereas the government wanted it to be exclusively in the Lok Sabha. Now, what I'm saying, as I said, is of course speculative, but it's my personal view, nothing to do with the Congress. I believe that this trigger may well have been the immediate trigger, but this cannot be the real reason or the aggregation of angst and reasons which led to his departure. This is far too trivial. It hardly matters if Justice Verma, as they say, you can't hang a man twice or thrice. If Justice Verma is impeached in the Lok Sabha or jointly same motion is moved in Rajya Sabha, or indeed, and remember, it's one of those rare motions where the viewpoints of the government and the opposition are converging.
Yeah.
I have myself been involved in this whole impeachment process
as
an advisor. So, at the moment, by the way, it's not impeachment, it's only the statutory committee being made. So, I think that this may have been the trigger, but this is like that trigger which is the culmination of an aggregation of earlier dissatisfactions. Clearly, there is something much more major.
So, what happens now? I mean, from a legal standpoint, and wear your legal hat now, what happens now? Because we can't, go without a vice president for too long. It's a detailed sort of process for selecting the vice president. Would you look in the opposition and in the Congress party for a consensus candidate? Do you believe that there'll be battle lines drawn there?
I wanted to complete my first answer, but I'll come to that later. Let me answer your last question more immediately. Actually, the process for vice president's election is simpler than most might think, especially much simpler compared to that of the president. So, as far as the process is concerned, it's not complicated. Our two houses simply vote. In the aggregate, whatever, 800 people, 750 people. It's an easy vote in one building, in one day, in a few hours. As far as consensus is concerned, it's obviously the best. However, being very candid, and I'm certainly not speaking for my party because this discussion has not even started. Indeed, this is not a party discussion. It has to be an India Alliance discussion, quite frankly. Given the record of the last 10 years, where unilateralism is the key word of the moment, I have majority, so I be unilateral. I doubt very much if there will be even an attempt at consensus as far as the ruling party is concerned. Ruling party is the one which has to move for consensus. But just because you have or apparently have a majority in the two houses put together, I doubt very much if the nature of things, the nature of the top bosses of the ruling party is that of trying for a consensus. If it happens, I'd be very happy. That's the way it should be. And the person who's elected, as a consequence of such consensus, his hands and his whole role is strengthened considerably. But just to finish on the last point, there is also clearly a suddenness because everything as far as his second day's program is concerned was known. The Prime Minister's acceptance of his resignation was terse, short. So I think an accumulation of various factors, some of which I can't speak of on television, have led to the clearly being told to leave. Obviously, the reason given in the letter is not accepted by most people. He has gracefully exited, but I have no doubt, if I was to call a spade, and as I said, marry diplomacy with candor, that this is not a voluntary departure in any which way. And it is been told to him, and he has done it in a few hours, which is sad. It also, in a sense, strengthens both my admiration and my negative comment about this government, which is that it is completely, control freak, micromanaged. The discipline or the mesmeric, hypnotic hold on every small thing is very clear. To have a vice president depart in a few hours shows you that micro control at the highest constitutional office. And let me also finish by saying that the corridors of power have the usual whispers behind the pillars that there is a lot of manthan going on in the change which the BJP is undergoing in the selection of its president. So it's always possible that I want to put A where Mr. Dhankar was sitting. And when A vacates his place and gets to Mr. Dhankar's place, then B in the place of A, and then C in the place of B. So it could be part of a much larger reshuffle.
Was there in the last little while, and this is another rumor, that he was coordinating more with the opposition because he's had a very combative relationship with all of you. He was coordinating in the last finite period in a better manner with a lot of you, and that perhaps is something which irritated some in the government.
I don't think that is either fair comment or accurate. Look, as far as you put it, we meaning the non-ruling party, the first day of the session is when this happened. You really had only 2 days. Some meetings took place on Sunday and this happened on Monday.
Right.
Now, none of his past record shows that he has been, as you say, coordinating and cooperating. In fact, he's been very brusque, to put it mildly. Some people say he's been very harsh. He is the only sitting vice president to have faced an impeachment motion. So I think to suggest that any softness on the opposition benches is the ground would be quite a farce. It would be quite a distorted statement.
All right. Well, I would suggest that it's not the last of this that we've heard. We'll have to wait and see where this goes. But Dr. Singhvi, always a pleasure speaking to you on what took us all very much by surprise. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to move on now to our next big focus this evening. After 6 decades in service, the Indian Air Force is now going to be retiring the MiG-21 aircraft. We'll tell you the legacy of this aircraft and why this move is so important. More than 6 decades after the Indian Air Force first inducted the MiG-21 aircraft, a fighter which is essentially synonymous with the Indian Air Force, the legacy fighter will finally be retired from service in September. The Indian Air Force has used the MiG-21 extensively. It's fought in several wars, right down to the day after Balakot, when Abhinandan used a MiG-21 to get into Pakistan to target Pakistani aircraft. It's got a mixed reputation. On the one hand, it joined at a time when the Indian Air Force didn't really have very many options available before it in terms of getting aircraft in sizable numbers. Hundreds of these were manufactured by Hindustan Aeronautics, but at some stages it's been a difficult aircraft to fly. There have been several pilots who sadly lost their lives as well. But it is part of the ethos, it is part of the legacy of the Indian Air Force, and there won't be any IAF officer who will not swear by this platform and what it has meant for the service. Joining us now, a very special guest, Air Marshal Anil Khosla. He's a former Vice Chief of the Indian Air Force, and like 2/3 of all fighter pilots of the Indian Air Force has had the experience of flying on a MiG-21. Sir, what does it feel like today for you to know that the MiG-21, which has been so much a part of the IAF, is now finally going to be retired next month?
Yeah, Vishnu, MiG-21 is very, very close to the heart, as you brought out, I think, in the entire Air Force, at least this lot. And pilots who have retired in last 15, 20 years have gone through MiG-21. And, I feel as if, one of my limbs is being cut off. That sort of feeling coming in, that close to this aircraft is that close to heart. And you brought out many things that it's a difficult aircraft to fly. Of course, it's a very exhilarating and very, very demanding aircraft to fly, and you have to be totally 100% with it. You cannot afford to have lapse of concentration ever. But it's a great aircraft to fly, and especially in combat, the visual combat of yesteryears, you could throw the aircraft around in the air.
Do you have any one memory of any sortie which you have flown on the MiG-21 that comes to mind? A challenging scenario, a difficult scenario, or an exhilarating one?
Yeah, I've got many memories of MiG-21. Some very good memories, and some are, hair-raising memories. I had a share of all sort of memories on MiG-21. The most thrilling memories are of TAC D when I used to fly combat sorties on MiG-21, 2 versus 1 to 4 versus 2 to larger combat missions, throwing the aircraft around. And those days, the combat was like Top Gun movie, visual combat. With the gun tactics and all combat aircraft, we used to mill around within a sphere of 4 to 5 kilometers. Unlike these days where you were launching weapons at 150 kilometers away from the enemy. So I have got a lot of good memories of MiG-21. Of course, the hair-raising ones are also there, where takeoff and landing, you have to be very, very careful. The speeds are very high, and any one mistake can lead to a disaster. So those memories also there where the heart skipped a beat, but God willing, we survived through all those situations.
Can you describe for our viewers the experience of landing at well more than 300 kilometers per hour in a fairly small, in fact, it is quite tiny, jet, the MiG-21?
Yeah. Correct. MiG-21 is actually, if you see the shape, if you can see the model which I'm showing, it's like a dartboard. Or you can say like a rocket with 2 wings attached to it and 1 tail attached to it. And that dartboard, that is what made the difference. That's how it could attain a speed of almost 2 Mach. And it was the supersonic aircraft, a very good design of its time. It was meant for air defense duties for very fast acceleration and high speeds. And that is what it is meant for. So landing speed is also high, but that creates a little bit of a problem for the pilots in the sense that at those landing speeds, a little bit of mishandling can create problems. So this aircraft was basically designed for air defense, but subsequently it was optimized for utilization in ground attack, electronic warfare, reconnaissance, and a whole lot of roles. And it proved to be one of the best designs. It was a backbone of the Indian Air Force in those times.
And, you're talking about its role in combat. In 1971, it played a huge role, even strafing bombing targets on the ground. And this is what the Indian Air Force did. We adapted an air superiority fighter for ground attack roles. Could you tell us a little bit about the evolution of the platform in the IAF?
Yeah, so before that, just let me cover 1 second. You talked about 1971. 65 war, it was basically in the formative years. It had just been inducted 2 years before. The numbers were less and the training was going on. So main role, it was air defense, and but it proved a lot of, it had a lot of deterrence value. The enemy always avoided the MiG-21 in those days. 1971, it had a very, very decisive role. We had trained, we had inducted. It was the backbone of the aircraft, and the aircraft had evolved into many roles, as I covered earlier. And it took part in all these roles in 1971. If you remember the famous photograph of rocket attack on Governor's House in Dhaka, which is considered to be the pivotal point or the point of, decision point of Bangladesh being born. And after that also it has taken part in many, and the aircraft has evolved over the years. Unfortunately, we had to continue flying it for very, very long time due to various reasons. And in this period also it has evolved. If you see in the Indian Air Force, I have flown 5 variants of MiG-21s, starting from Type 77, then ground attack Type 96, air defense Type 75, and then coming to Bison, the upgrade version. So the aircraft evolved in its avatar many times, and its role also kept, increasing.
The Bison, which is now going to be retired, is an altogether different aircraft. It fires fairly long range, beyond visual range missiles, a new radar, and a decent radar warning receiver. A jammer can be carried as well. It's a complete transformation of that legacy platform, right? It was relevant till recently, I would suggest.
Yeah, Vishnu, you're right. When the aircraft was inducted, it was a very, very simple aircraft. I mean, hardly any avionics to talk about. The radar was very primitive. The weapons were very short range. The air-to-air missile, air-to-ground, whatever weapons we introduced, they were all, dumb bombs and rockets. As the air warfare evolved, although we continued flying the platform, but there was a need to put advanced avionics into it for weapon control systems, for coordination of the weapons, for survivability, the electronic suits, the EW, this thing. So a whole lot of electronics and avionics had to be put in so that it remains relevant for the war as it was evolving over the years. So that is how the Bison upgrade took place, the MiG-21 upgrade, and the Bison was the result of it, which stayed relevant till now. I mean, we are the only country which are flying now. It is 19 September. It is being phased out finally, totally from the Indian Air Force. But it stayed relevant till date.
Air Marshal, there was also that fantastic story of how we use the MiG-21 effectively in exercises against the Americans as a small aircraft. Can you tell us about how those MiG-21s caught American F-15s by surprise?
Yeah, so what happens is in these exercises, a lot of aircraft do take part and the rules of engagement are pre-decided. And how a MiG-21 is considered as the underdog because it's older aircraft and the newer aircraft, the advanced air forces are bringing in newer aircraft in these exercises. So they don't expect much out of it. And that is where they go wrong. And when they realize that the human and machine interface of Indian Air Force is very good, where the pilots and the machine both are, meshed with each other, and the training status is so good. And secondly, the upgrades which we keep doing. So that is what they got surprised. But I'll, a word of caution here. When we do these exercises, the aim is to learn the best practices and all the rules of engagement and the weapon and aircraft envelopes, and generally are pre-decided before starting the exercise.
But sir, that is never enough to prevent fighter jocks like you from claiming how you knocked out F-15s. That goes with the territory.
Yeah, of course. After the mission, you have to get your hands up, and especially after a drink, the hands go even more wilder. And that is the fun part of the flying, not only during the flying, but post-flying debrief and recollection of the combat and the maneuvers.
A final question on a more poignant note, and a sad one, but I think we need to reflect on it as well. You would have lost friends in MiG-21 crashes, sometimes pilot error, sometimes mechanical error, possibly in combat as well. And the numbers are very, very large. So is that not, a sad reality that we have to accept as we say goodbye to the MiG-21s?
Absolutely, Vishnu. I've lost friends. I've seen an aircraft going down right in front of my eyes, in younger years, very early in my career. And we were the first ones to reach the crash site, which was a horrifying experience. And thereafter also I've been dealing with it throughout my service career of 40 years till retirement. And unfortunately, see, the MiG-21 was the backbone of the aircraft. At one time, we were flying 800 plus aircraft. The quantum of flying was very, very large. Now, if you take the MiG-21 accidents and compare it with the quantum of flying, the message is not alarming, but somehow it caught the media attention because there was a phase when there was a problem with the aircraft. The HL was producing under license, and we lost some in quick succession, and that caught the attention. The third thing is, there are various MiG series, MiG-21, MiG-23, MiG-25, MiG-27. Unfortunately, any accident got covered as MiG-21.
Right.
So it got the bad name as such. But of course, we had a problem with it. And the aircraft, if you continue flying for so long, supply chain issues are there, space and reliability is there. But we were, in a situation where we had to continue flying it for more than required. So overall, I will say it had its share of bad luck also, but it has served its purpose, and it proved it came in a time when Indian Air Force desperately needed it, and it has proved well its tenure in the Indian Air Force.
All right, Air Marshal Khosla, wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, the Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ NDTV इंडिया पर।
A 36-hour non-stop flight by a small pack of B-2s. A lot of other aircraft were also involved, we know that. But let's talk about the B-2 flight itself. They took off from Missouri. 36 hours later, they landed back without once landing. They delivered their bombs 18 hours later over Iran and then came back. How was this possible? Because the Department of Defense says at no point of time on this 36-hour journey was there any reason to believe that they were either detected or reacted to?
Well, they weren't detected, because if they were, then they'd be in some serious trouble. It's one of the most unbelievable missions, one of the most historic long-range strike missions. There were 7 B-2s, which by B-2 standards is a fair number of them. There was deception in the very beginning. There was a sense that some of them were flying west across the Pacific. In fact, they weren't. And even if a few planes were positioned in one area, they were not going to be flying the Pacific route.
That was the big distraction.
On social media said, you see the bombers, they're now flying west, so you know what's coming your way. But no. They flew them east across the Atlantic. There were 125 aircraft in total involved. Refuelers were involved at every stage. There were fighter aircraft which linked up 4th generation and 5th generation planes, 5th generation being stealth aircraft. And then after an 18-hour flight one way, right, shortly before they struck their targets, which was primarily Fordo, using a remarkable weapon which we'll talk about called the GBU-57, 30,000-pound weapon.
Monster.
Before that took place, there were several land attack cruise missiles launched from American submarines and possibly destroyers as well. possibly in the Persian Gulf. Submarines, they don't tell us a location. That could be as far out.
The American
as
media says it was
Mediterranean.
one submarine called the USS Georgia.
So again, location, I'm not sure if that would be Persian Gulf, could be
Yeah.
the Mediterranean, could be the North Indian Ocean as well. But this is what I found interesting. By the time those land attack cruise missiles, Tomahawks, actually struck their targets in Natanz and Esfahan, the American B-2s had already left. So in other words, they launched their missiles first, but by the time the missiles hit, they were the last to hit their Well, there's been incredible excitement in India and indeed around the world on India's cosmic ambitions. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla now back on Earth.
Yes,
but
very much so.
the entire process of going up and coming down, that's sort of got a lot of people interested in India's spacefaring intentions, our ambitions, and of course, the big next step is going to be the Gaganyaan program. There's a lot of work that's already gone into Gaganyaan,
And plenty needs to go, and we need to have fresh astronauts. And the fresh astronauts will come from India.
Right. And what is the reason why we are here at about 6:30 in the morning?
We are here for the golden hour to celebrate a golden moment in history with the Ministry of Defence and the Prime Minister's office behind us.
But we've got a bigger reason.
And we want to speak to one of the first Indian Air Force Space Medical Specialist, Air Vice Marshal, Dr. Anupam Agarwal. Why don't you
Air
introduce
Vice Marshal,
him?
it's wonderful to have you, and you've had an instrumental role in picking, the small selection, the small cohort of Indian Air Force officers, one of whom has already been to space, and perhaps the others will get an opportunity as well. Sure. But your first reactions and thoughts on Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, the fact that you were part of the team that picked him, what does it feel like to have him go and come back?
What do you think? Excellent. I mean, nothing could be better. What could be better?
Tell us about Shukla and how did the Indian Air Force pick up a select, sir?
That's like you're asking me to condense the universe into a small dot.
Well, you're very capable of that.
Come, sir,
but no, it was incredible. It was. I was talking to my team, and I think we as a team are the luckiest people on earth. If you look at it, with 1/6 of the world's population in India, if you select 4 people, they're likely to be one of the 24 best in the world.
Right.
And we got to sort of interact with the best test pilots, the best fighter pilots in the country for this selection. So where do you get to meet such a huge bunch of such talented people? And we were lucky to do it. We couldn't have asked for anything better.
Dr. Anupam, you headed the Institute of Aerospace Medicine, our jewel, a hidden jewel for the Indian Air Force in India, when you selected these 4 astronaut designates. And now there are 3 astronaut designates and 1 astronaut. What did you find, and what is special about Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, our Gagan Yatri, who completed this mission?
What is special about him? Everything is special about him. But by and large, if you would want to think in sort of break it down, one, he's incredibly intelligent. I can't disclose his intelligence scores, but he is incredibly intelligent. He's in the right on top there. And you've spoken to him, we've all spoken to him. He's so bright, he's yet so funny, he's so serious, and he is a person who can look at the best in a bad situation. And that, in an astronaut is the best thing you can have.
No, but adaptability, which is what you were alluding to, is a key quality that you want of all our Gaganyatris, all our astronauts. Why is that important?
Well, when you're in space, it is the toughest endeavor that humankind undertakes. Anything can go wrong at any point in time. And you want a person who would be able to play it on the go. And that is a quality, yes, which you said is very important for a person who's going to be put into that situation. Because if he's being put into that situation, he needs to be able to do it.
Right. And just in terms of selecting not just Shuks but the others as well, there would have been a lot of disappointed people also who didn't make the cut. And obviously this group of very satisfied Indian Air Force pilots What were some of the criteria the Indian Air Force was looking at?
I spoke to my team and I said, what is it that you would want in an astronaut? And one consensus was that when you, let's say, talk to Rakesh Sharma or Ravish Malhotra, both of them, when you talk to them, the first thing is that within the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, you feel like this is the guy. So this is the guy moment is what we wanted from all the people that we got. Disappointed the others were, I would say yes, anybody would be. But it is just this, that if you have to select only so many, some people who are equally good will just not be there. So
it's like being selected into the Indian cricket team, perhaps even tougher.
Much more tougher.
Much tougher.
But how different is it in selection for medical criteria between a test fighter pilot and an astronaut? And how difficult is it? Do other countries share details with you? How do they choose their own astronauts? Say Russia, America or China?
No, so some physical standards we did get from the Russians, I won't deny that. But physiological standards, medical standards and psychological standards, nobody shares. Nobody shares. I mean, when an American astronaut flies on the Soyuz or a Russian cosmonaut flies on the SpaceX, they still don't share it between the Roscosmos and the NASA. It is that secret between them. It is
Vice Marshal, we are in terms of technology and engineering looking at an Indian capsule, ensure that habitation systems are built in India for an Indian astronaut. So the entire Gaganyaan program is obviously merging Indian technology, testing with, Indian astronauts who will be using that for the very first time.
Yes.
Could you tell us the overall challenge of Gaganyaan? People don't seem to understand that it's not an ordinary mission, particularly if you're building ground up.
The best way to make people understand is that there are only 3 countries in the world who have managed it, launching a person from their own soil. So Russia, then the US and then China. And there are so many, and it's better not to speak about who's not been able to do it, but some of the best nations in the world have not managed to do it. They've run space programs for 6 years, 7 years and have given it up. So that tells you how tough it is. But to give you an idea as to why it is tough, if let's say there's an emergency in air in an aeroplane, which is in itself very difficult, you can come back and land. But if you're flying at 28,000 kilometers an hour and you have an emergency, the earliest you can land is after a couple of hours.
Right.
And how do you do it? So when you put a human inside, when you put a satellite inside, there is a lot of work which goes in because it's just so expensive. But when you put a human inside, the degree of difficulty doesn't increase, it increases exponentially.
Right.
And that is what makes it so tough. So, if you're, the rocket designer, he doesn't like human beings.
Right.
because if you put a satellite or if you put an engineering thing inside a spacecraft, you will know exactly how it is going to behave. A human being would have a mood. he would have a heart which will just decide to beat differently on that day. He will have lungs which will just decide on a whim to breathe differently. So when you're designing for a human, have to cater for a very, very vast difference in everything.
Right.
And if you now put it as 2 humans, you've gone into like exponentially a square of that. You put in 3 humans, you've gone into a cube of that. So it's just so variable, which is why it is so difficult.
Air Vice Marshal, you chose astronauts. You did it in 2019. The first person to fly is 6 years later. He still has at least a 20-year career. Did you have to weigh in your mind the medical fitness of what he would be 10 years hence, and also the mental fitness? Because mental fitness, I'm told, is sometimes more important.
That is the crux, that is the nub. So you're asking me what is the difference between a fighter pilot and an astronaut? One, the astronaut training is just so expensive. I mean, the entire media is abuzz with the cost of Shuks's mission.
Yeah, over 500 crores we have spent on
So, you don't want to train a person to only find out that his heart is not behaving so well after 10 years.
Right.
So, when you're selecting him today, we selected him, like you said, in 2019, you're looking at about 20 years ahead or more. And the best cardiologist in this world finds it difficult to do so.
Right.
And when you're making a core of people, to do it for each one of them is that much more difficult. As far as mental fitness is concerned, yes, you're right. If you ask me, I would say a mentally fit person is more important than a physically fit person. You, for once, can say, okay, we want to be inclusive, so we may sort of send a diabetic into space. But if you ask me, would you be willing to send a neurotic into space? I will say no. Because of the thing which we discussed earlier, that if there is a difficult situation, you want a person who would just go ahead and deal with it and would do it in his stride. That is the most difficult thing.
Air Vice Marshal, we spoke about Shuks, but we have 3 more astronaut designates. Can we one by one talk about each of them and what is special about each one of them? I know they are in one way equal among equals.
Yes, they are. So,
let's start with Prashant Balakrishnan Nair. He was the backup astronaut.
Yes.
And also the senior most,
yes,
right? In terms of age and rank and yeah.
So Papa, as he's called.
Yeah. He's called Papa.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
He's always, I mean, even when he was a youngster.
That's his call sign also, was it?
Yes.
That's his call sign.
So we were together way back in 2012 or something together. We've served together for a longish time. So Papa is, I mean, all of them are just brilliant, intelligent, very good with their work. It's a given. So then the small thing which differentiates them, Papa is very heavily into yoga. He's very heavily into spirituality. So he can sort of look at the same situation in a different, from a different perspective. That, if you want one defining characteristic, would do Papa. If you look at Krish, Ajit Krishnan. So Krish is, I think, out of the groups that I have met in my life, one of the best speakers you will come across. To quote an incident, he was in an exam, in a viva, and he sort of got 100 out of 100 in his viva by 5 examiners. All five gave him 100, that means.
Wow.
And they said, we will change our teaching methods to teach this particular thing that you've explained to us in the fashion that you've explained it to us.
Wow.
So that if you can look at a person being incredible in speaking, so Krish, that defines Krish. Angad, I'm told, has been running a 100-kilometer marathon almost every few months.
So physically extremely resilient.
Very resilient, all of them are. Angad can also see a different side of everything. So the same situation, everybody would look at it this way. Angad can see a different side of it, which is very important. Lateral thinking, or whatever you want to call it, is very important, especially when you're dealing with novel, unprecedented situations. So all of them are individually brilliant.
But that strikes me as being really interesting, that when you're looking at the qualities of our astronauts, our Gaganyatris, you aren't necessarily looking for A, B or C. There are obviously some baseline parameters, but beyond that, you're willing to look at individuality, individual skills. Some like yoga, some are marathoners, some have lateral thinking, perhaps more than the others. So the entire cohort gives you options. Isn't that what the exercise was about?
Yes. We didn't actively look for options, but like you said, we are willing.
Emerged.
Yes, it's emerged, and we are willing to have within a broad parameter have differences, because like you said, that is what makes the team the team.
Sure.
Air Vice Marshal, What are the facilities like at the Institute of Aerospace Medicine?
I'm surprised you've seen it.
I have seen it. Yes,
I haven't. I must.
You must.
Yes, I will.
Yes, that is true. And you also put me onto the centrifuge there. And
you can send him to space as well. We may not miss him very much. But
so are we state of the art in the world?
Yes, we are. The centrifuge, since you mentioned it, there are about 5 or 6 centrifuges across the world of the standard that is there in India, and that is where we stand. So one of the 5 in the world. Again, one mustn't mention countries, but they're very, very advanced, very strong economies, let's say in Europe, which don't have a centrifuge of that class.
Air Vice Marshal, what strikes me, and again, this is something that people don't talk about, they look at our cohort of Gaganyatris thinking, okay, they'll get onto the mission. But what Pallav keeps stressing, and I think this is an important point, is that this is just the start. We aren't beginning and ending with Gaganyaan. In fact, it's the start of an entire process. It's a process which presumably in the future would have women. It would presumably have civilians as well. It would have people of different walks of life. They don't even necessarily have to be scientists and engineers. That this is an expansion of our thinking of what we as a country want to do in space. Would you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we will very soon perhaps be choosing women, because women, I mean, ISRO has been very particular that we need to be inclusive, and the government of India has been very particular that we need to be inclusive. So if nobody can look into the future, but if I would dare to, we should have women soon.
And that humanoid is a woman, right? I mean,
that it is, yes.
So we are likely to have women joining the astronaut corps soon, as soon as ISRO opens it up.
Is what I've been told, yes.
Air Vice Marshal, things will start getting fairly intense now. There is a clock. As much as we can take our time to ensure we get it right, there is a clock, and we want to get this mission going. There'd be pad abort tests, there would be some other missions. Could you describe for our viewers how things will now progressively move faster, right up till the moment when we launch? More tense, more challenges, more successes, potentially more failures. Failures are not necessarily long-term. It's sort of a build-up, isn't it?
So as a build-up, what ISRO is generally planning is that they would have what they are calling the G1 mission, which would be an analog mission which would largely test the rocket.
Right.
That would be followed by the G2 and G3 missions, which would be exactly the same as the final H1 mission, the human mission.
Which is the human mission.
So in the G2 and G3, we would be testing all the systems that will be placed on the rocket. And the timelines of the G1 mission are supposed to be the end of next year or before that. And the G2, G3 and H1 missions would sort of flow from the success of the G1 mission.
And ultimately, this is about not just Gaganyaan and getting Indians in space, but possibly into an Indian space station.
Yes,
and then possibly to the moon as well. I mean, those are our immediate targets.
Those are the two things
incredibly ambitious,
which the Prime Minister has announced: the Bharatiya Antariksh Station as well as the man on the moon.
And so you're satisfied, man?
I am very.
So there would be an extensive debrief, obviously, of his entire experience.
Yes.
The answer, I must ask you, since you are a doctor, getting to space means encountering a certain, space illness. Coming back means adjusting to gravity. That's not necessarily an easy process. And unless you've done it, you don't really know what it's going to be all about. How is that a real factor as you get set to have Indians, on our own spaceship in space?
So gravity is very, very important. I mean, you saw Shooks being picked up and brought out. It would be sort of interesting. Pallav was asking. The analog mission which we had, on the sidelines of that, we also had people with who underwent extended bed rest. That is all. And that is a very good space analog. When the people who were on this extended bed rest, when they got up, they had the same kind of issues. They could not stand. So that is one way that we study all of this, and that is the nub of it. The incredible amount of hard work that is put in by the team who's working behind the scenes is really important.
So Air Vice Marshal, you're a doctor, and the rocketry is being done by ISRO. If you can give us an overall picture, what is your perspective and how soon can we have the first Indian in space on an Indian rocket from Sriharikota?
A lot of it would depend on the Jeevan mission, and with the success of the Jeevan mission, it will depend on the G2 and G3 missions, because the systems that we are making, they are very difficult to make. I mean, how do I give you an example? The printer that was installed on the ISS took 20 years to be certified. The fire extinguisher that is being used on the ISS took almost 10 years to be certified.
And we have to make it at home.
And we have to make such, we counted, and off the back of an envelope calculation, some 3,000 such things.
No, but I think
including getting the toothpaste right,
yes,
and the soaps right, and the towels right.
Yes,
and that is not easy if you ask me.
It's not easy. I mean, since you said towel, so let's say we are looking at a piece of cloth which is to be used in space. The first thing is that if it has got a synthetic content, it will release some gases which will not go anywhere because the capsule is closed. And while the air is circulated and the carbon dioxide is removed, but the, let's say, hydrocarbons that are released by a synthetic towel will not go away anywhere. The lint which flies will choke your filters, so you'll find it difficult. If, God forbid, the astronaut develops an allergy to it, then your entire mission will be doomed, and you'll have to bring it back to Earth, and so on. So each thing that goes into space is just so difficult to make.
You know, what I find interesting, and again it's something worth talking about, is that there are literally tens of thousands of components which need to be engineered, manufactured, meet stringent requirements, and this is all being done over here. There is no space ecosystem per se outside ISRO which exists. A lot of these components are being developed by ISRO, perhaps outside as well, but these are new components. And it has to do with health, it has to do with basic engineering, with rocketry, and this is not stuff we are buying. In most cases, you know, and it's not even necessarily available to our specifications. How is that part of the larger Gaganyaan challenge?
Two ways to look at it. When Yuri Gagarin was sent, everything was developed like this in Russia 80 years ago. It can be done.
Yeah.
The space ecosystem is coming up. If you've been, I mean, I'm sure you are.
The private sector,
more learned than I am. The private sector is coming up. It is matching up. Agnikul is 3D printing rockets and firing them.
Yeah.
So a lot of development is taking place simultaneously, and that is the beauty of human spaceflight. Just because you aspire to do human space flight, you will find that your entire industrial complex comes up. So that is a note that I would like to strike with our viewers.
Our last couple of questions,
Any message you have for Group Captain Shukla as the person who was instrumental in choosing him, and now that he has completed his mission? I spoke to him, you have spoken to him. One message which you can send to the countrymen about Shukla?
Shuks, we are very proud of you.
Fantastic.
That's it. That sums it all.
Well, I would say not just India is proud of him. India is also looking forward to getting a Viksit Bharat thanks to his contribution.
Absolutely.
Shuks or the other astronauts as well have been evaluated by the Roscosmos. They have been evaluated by NASA, and nobody's ever...
Also the Europeans.
Also the Europeans. And nobody's ever felt a need to sort of change anything. So I think we are good.
And a final question, as we're out of time, that team spirit among the group, the cohort, how important is that? How does it build up? Are they essentially one family? Do they have disagreements with each other sometimes? Is there a sense of humor, or that's important, isn't it?
Every family has disagreements. I mean, husband and wife.
So they are a family in a sense.
Yes, they are a family. They are a family.
Describe them for us as a team.
Very difficult to describe a bunch of incredibly talented, incredibly intelligent, and incredibly hard-working, learned people.
You're running out of adjectives.
Yes.
Well, we'd like to thank you very much for being with us today. Well, there you have it. The Air Vice Marshal telling us a little bit about the challenges ahead, the incredible achievement of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, the path ahead, Indian technologies, the importance of health in space, and the qualities of our wonderful astronauts and what they bring for a mission which is clearly India's giant cosmic leap.
कर रहे हो सर? मेरी आप तो एक Gaikwad is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan...
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash. Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, the Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Aditi Bhardwaj. Let's take a look at the top stories that we are tracking here at this hour. And a court sends Chaitanya Baghel, son of former Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, to 14-day judicial custody in a money laundering case linked to the alleged liquor scam. Election Commission trims Bihar voter list by 51 lakh, removes dead, shifted and duplicate voters ahead of assembly elections. Shashi Tharoor dismissed Kerala Congress leader K. Muralidharan's boycott threat as baseless, creating tensions to a potential point of no return as he continues to assert his stance despite internal party criticism. After more than 6 decades of service, the Indian Air Force is all set to retire the iconic MiG-21 fighter jets by September this year, marking a significant shift in India's military aviation history. Starting with our top focus here on NDTV, did former Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar's move to kickstart the impeachment process of Justice Yashwant Verma in the Rajya Sabha take the government, which wanted the process to go through by the Lok Sabha, by surprise? Was this the trigger that prompted the now former Vice President's sudden resignation on Monday night? Now, as per sources, Mr. Dhankar's call to accept a motion by opposition MPs on the removal of High Court Justice Yashwant Verma, at whose house bundles of cash were allegedly found, did not sit well with the union government, which wanted to take a lead on the issue. The centre had readied a motion for Justice Verma's removal, taken signatures from opposition MPs as well as wanted to introduce it in the Lok Sabha. But what exactly happened? My colleague Vishnu Shom spoke to Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Take a look at this report.
Sources suggest that tensions flared when Mr. Dhankar accepted an opposition-backed impeachment motion against the Delhi High Court Judge Yashwant Verma, and that apparently caught the government off guard. It reportedly led to a heated exchange with BJP leaders, and now he's gone. Is that your sense as well?
There is no doubt that the immediate trigger, and mark my words, immediate trigger, appears to be the Verma motion. And you know the stories which are in the press, and we are also members of the Rajya Sabha, and that he admitted a motion in the Rajya Sabha, whereas the government wanted it to be exclusively in the Lok Sabha. Now, what I'm saying, as I said, is of course speculative, it's my personal view, nothing to do with the Congress. I believe that this trigger may well have been the immediate trigger, but this cannot be the real reason or the aggregation of angst and reasons which led to his departure.
Moving on from Chhattisgarh, a special court has remanded Chaitanya Baghel, son of senior Congress leader and former Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh Bhupesh Baghel, in a 14-day judicial custody in a money laundering case linked to the alleged liquor scam. Chaitanya was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate on July 18 following a search at his house, which he shares with his father in Bhilai town of Durg district in the state. The ED claimed in a statement that Chaitanya handled more than rupees 1,000 crore worth of proceeds of crime generated from a liquor scam in the state and used rupees 16.7 crore for the development of his real estate project. Shifting our focus to Maharashtra, where a man allegedly assaulted a 25-year-old female receptionist at a private hospital in Maharashtra's Kalyan after she refused to let him walk into the doctor's office without an appointment, as per the police. A purported video of the incident, which has gone viral on social media, shows the man, identified as Gokul Jha, running towards the receptionist and kicking her. Though others present at the scene try to pull him away, he continues to drag and pull the woman by her hair, thrashing her onto the ground. The crowd finally manages to pull the man out of the reception area while others lift the woman up from the ground, as per the visuals coming in. A police official has said that based on the woman's complaint, an FIR has been registered, but the accused remains at large. Listen into the reactions coming in.
जो भी घटना हुई है बिल्कुल अनफॉर्चुनेट है। इस तरह से किसी महिला को मारना पीटना बिल्कुल एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है। जो भी वो व्यक्ति है उसको ढूंढने का काम पुलिस कर रही है, जल्दी उसको पकड़ा जाएगा, उसको अरेस्ट किया जाएगा और कायदे से कड़क कार्रवाई जरूर की जाएगी।
And we are slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Court sends Chaitanya Baghel to 14-day judicial custody in a money laundering case in the alleged liquor scam. Election Commission trims Bihar voter list by 51 lakh, removes dead, shifted and duplicate voters. Divide between Shashi Tharoor and Congress widens as Shashi Tharoor dismisses Kerala Congress leaders' boycott threat, calling it needless. After more than 6 decades of service, the Indian Air Force is all set to retire the iconic MiG-21 fighter jets by September this year.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
A 36-hour non-stop flight by a small pack of B-2s, a lot of other aircraft.
आप एक गुंडे जैसे बिहेव कर रहे हो सर। मेरी आप तो एक गायकवाड is running away from NDTV's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri couples costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony.
And disturbing news coming in from Belagavi district in Karnataka, where a man attacked his wife and mother-in-law with a machete right inside the court premises. The accused from the village reportedly launched a brutal assault on his wife Aishwarya and her mother Anusuya. The couple had come to the court for a divorce hearing. What began as a family dispute ended in a horrifying act of violence. The accused is suddenly said to have pulled out a machete and attacked the two women within the court premises. Police and others at the spot rushed immediately and intervened and held this accused, who is on your screens. Both victims seriously injured in the attack were rushed to the hospital in Dharwad for treatment, and the cops have registered a case. Further investigation is underway. Shifting our focus to trouble brewing in for the Tollywood actors, as Enforcement Directorate has summoned 4 prominent film actors, Vijay Deverakonda, Rana Daggubati, Prakash Raj and Manju Lakshmi, as part of its probe into the alleged promotion of illegal online betting and gaming platforms. Daggubati is likely to appear before the agency on July 23rd, followed by Prakash Raj on July 30th. Devarakonda is likely to appear before the ED on August 6 and Lakshmi on August 13. The summons were issued after the agency registered an enforcement case information report under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act against 29 actors, influencers and content creators. The FIRs allege that several celebrities and social media figures promoted gambling and online betting apps. Take a look at this report.
You've probably seen flashy ads promoting betting apps, urging you to play and win, featuring your favorite actors and influencers. But now many of those same stars are under the Enforcement Directorate's lens. The ED is cracking down hard on illegal betting and gambling platforms accused of cheating lakhs of Indians of their hard-earned money and laundering massive sums. The estimated tax evasion, a staggering 27,000 crore rupees annually. In a major twist, 29 actors, influencers and creators have been summoned for questioning in the money laundering probe linked to these shady platforms. According to sources, actor Rana Daggubati has been asked to appear at the Hyderabad ED office on July 23rd. Veteran actor Prakash Raj has been summoned on July 30th. Vijay Devarakonda on August 6th. And Lakshmi Manchu on August 13th. Other names include Nidhi Agarwal, Pranitha Subhash, Srimukhi and Shamla, all of whom reportedly endorsed betting apps suspected of generating illicit funds. The ED suspects these celebrities promoted platforms allegedly generating illegal funds, misleading lakhs of young Indians in the process. The Tollywood industry has been rocked by these revelations, with several actors now facing questions over allegedly misleading the public, especially the youth, by promoting such apps. Earlier, Bollywood actor Sahil Khan was questioned by Mumbai police linked to the Mahadev betting app case. Ranbir Kapoor, Shraddha Kapoor, Tamanna Bhatia were summoned. Kapil Sharma, Hina Khan, Huma Qureshi were called in for questioning after they performed at a wedding in Dubai. Meanwhile, big tech giants like Meta, Google officials have also been issued fresh summons. Sources say that the executives have been given a one-week extension and asked to depose on July 28th. The tech giants have been summoned to know how such illegal platforms can place ads on their portals. Google has responded saying it uses advanced AI tools to ensure ad compliance with local laws and protect users from threats. The ED is investigating more than a dozen cases linked to illegal gambling and betting platforms across the country, including the Mahadev online book app, whose promoters hail from Chhattisgarh. Report NDTV.
Shifting focus to Karnataka, where at least 14,000 small traders have received GST notices from the government over their digital sales. Now, the traders say that they are not going to use UPI as a mode of payment and will switch over to cash. This issue has also led to a Congress-BJP face-off, with the state government blaming it on centre and the BJP blaming it on the state. But where does the problem truly lie? Here's a report. Take a look.
Pulling out a phone, scanning a QR code and making a payment. This has become second nature for millions of Indians. Especially when paying small vendors, this form of digital transaction is now a part of our everyday lives. But this could change quite quickly. Across Karnataka, nearly 14,000 small traders, from bakery owners to fruit, vegetable and meat sellers, have suddenly been receiving GST notices.
पहले तो तुम्हें इजी कर दिया, अभी पूरा ट्रांजैक्शन होने के बाद में 30 लाख हो गया, 40 लाख हो गया, बोले तो 40 लाख पूरा जिसको लिया है उसको दे दिया हमें. अब हम कहाँ से देगा पैसा? के 40 लाख हम बचा लिया क्या? तो नया नया रूल्स बनाया तो फायदा क्या है उसमें?
पूरा फोन पे गूगल पे कर करते पूरा GST डाल रहा करते हैं, उसके ना हमें नहीं डाल रहे अब। कहीं को होता बड़ी बड़ी दुकान को डालने का क्या होता है, छोटी दुकान रोड में पेपर करने वाले डालने का मैं क्या करने का अब।
As traders express their frustration, it's the customers who are now caught in the middle. Many have long since adapted to the digital payments, are now struggling to carry and make payments through cash.
Mainly, the government of Karnataka should take an appropriate action to reduce the GST and to allow the shopkeepers to use the digital payments and all, so that the customers and all will be easy for the payment.
Meanwhile, the issue has taken a political turn. The ruling Congress and the opposition BJP are locked in a blame game, each accusing the other of failing Karnataka's small traders.
मेरे पास इंफॉर्मेशन है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कमर्शियल टैक्स ऑफिसर्स ने छोटा व्यापारियों को नोटिस दिया है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट दिया नहीं। गलत कौन किया है? आपने किया है। आरोप करता है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर आरोप आप कर रहा है।
ನಮ್ಮ ತಿನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ತಿನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಇದನ್ನ ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೊಡೋದನ್ನ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಒಬ್ಬ ತರಕಾರಿ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಎಳ್ನೀರು ಮಾರೋರು, ರಸ್ತೆ ಬದಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡೋರು ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವರೊಂದು ಇದನ್ನ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು ಲಕ್ಷಾಂತರ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಗಾರೆ ನೋಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
With the traders all set to go in for a bandh and a protest, where does the solution lie is the big question. Several small traders, like the one that I'm standing at, are now apprehensive of using digital modes of payment. Modes of payment, of course, that now have become synonymous across the country with digital India and convenience as well. But with GST notices being sent out to traders like these, they feel that they should probably go back to cash. What this is doing is that on one hand, it is reducing their business. On the other hand, it's also inconveniencing the customers who now are completely reliant on payments made through UPI. We'll really have to see with the tug-of-war that's going on between the state and the centre over this issue, where the solution really lies. With video journalist Kumar, this is Deepak Bopana for NDTV.
The US Justice Department has released documents related to the FBI's investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. Take a look at this report.
A political storm resurfaces, and its eye is once again fixed on former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. According to newly declassified files, the FBI may have ignored key pieces of evidence in the now infamous Clinton email investigation. Documents that could have changed the course of the probe, dismissed, downplayed, or disregarded. In 2016, the country watched in disbelief as the scandal over a private email server threatened to derail a presidential campaign. The FBI launched an investigation only to conclude that Clinton's actions were extremely careless but not criminal. But now, nearly a decade later, new documents suggest there was more to the story. The declassified file suggests that potential witnesses were never interviewed. Digital evidence was never fully examined, and internal warnings within the Bureau itself were ignored. Tonight, critics are calling it a cover-up at the highest levels. Supporters of Clinton say it's a political hit job resurrected for partisan gain. But one thing is clear, Americans are once again demanding answers. So where does this leave the US? A nation once divided by emails, now haunted by what was never revealed. With Vishal Vivek, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
After the much debated Prada Kolhapuri saga, India's top fashion designer J.J. Walia speaks to my colleague Mayank Chaudhary on inspiration, plagiarism and why are we still hung up on what he says as Gora validation. JJ Walia will also be closing the most decorated fashion week, all set to take place in the national capital. Let's listen in to this exclusive conversation.
Favorite city?
Oh, I love Delhi.
Most stylish politician?
I think Mr. Scindia does a good job.
Thank you for speaking to NDTV.
Always a pleasure.
So my first question to you, sir, is you are no stranger to opulent fashion presentations, and with India Couture Week right around the corner, what can we expect? How will this presentation be different from your previous ones?
I'm trying to understand why people say that, how will it be different? Because, I remember Hussain, MF Hussain.
Yes.
And he spent a lifetime painting horses.
Yeah.
And they just kept getting better and wilder and more fun.
So I think that's about it.
I think it's evolution. Every good luxury brand evolves. And within that evolution lie many surprises. And so this time around also we'll be throwing in some interesting surprises and just focusing on creating and pushing ourselves to go to an even higher level.
So, sir, your work is heavily rich in impeccable artisanship and craft, I must say. And recently, with the whole Prada versus Kolhapuri artisan debate, how do you see this? Where do you stand? And also this whole conversation about cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. What's your take on it?
See, my personal opinion on anything other than plagiarism, which is absolutely not okay. But other than that, I think if somebody can get inspired by something which has its own sort of creative language and create something and create a sort of statement which highlights that thing even more, rather than sort of let it kind of disappear in time, then you're probably doing a service of sorts.
Right.
So, of course, with all acknowledgements and everything, that's mandatory. Quality will always go for something that he knows will stand the test of time. And the person who's buying fakes is not your market. It's very simple.
So there's no threat as such?
I don't think so. Honestly, if at all, there may be a 5 to 10%, cheaters walking around.
Have you come across any such incident?
Oh yeah, all the time. It happens all the time and at various levels.
And do they get spooked out? Have you ever confronted them? Or just a pat on the back?
We have a very famous pattern of ours called the shifting leaf chevron. Yes. It's a black and white pattern. And on a monthly basis, we send out close to 10 to 15 legal notices to people all over, including some really well-known brands who are just ripping it off. I went to a garment store the other day and he had thorns of it lying. And I'm like, do you know that you're copying this? I said to you, aap mujhe prove kar do. Well, it's a patent pattern of ours. I said, here's the proof. He said, I will remove all of them. And he did, he honored his word.
Years back when I was working as, I think I was a guest person, handling guests at the FDCI show, and it was your show. And I was very excited to have in fashion school. I was very excited to see it. And I remember as I was helping the guests find their seat, there was this, I think somebody in the front or the second row, they went, oh, JJ, he's synonymous with what Delhi fashion is. And that sort of stayed with me. And I feel like a pinch me moment that I'm asking you, why do you think your customers or admirers say that? Is it that because I personally feel, and I've observed your work, that there's something extremely inclusive about your work? It's almost like different cultures come and blend into your work. There's a room for everyone here. Very much like our city. Why do you think they say Delhi designer JJ Walia?
I have no idea. Actually, it's an interesting question, but I suppose they say it because that's where we are located. I mean, they would always say Bombay designer Manish Malhotra, Calcutta designer Sabyasachi. So we are the Delhi designers. It's to be the last word in fashion in India. Delhi designers were just ruling the roost. Bombay was very slow, Calcutta didn't exist. I'm talking about that kind of a time. Cut to now, both Delhi and Bombay have a very strong lot of designers. And Calcutta, of course, has its own. Bangalore has their own. Hyderabad has their own. But my point is that I don't know why we think cities. We should be Indian designers.
Sir, my last question to you is, you're a household name and a lot of aspiring young designers look up to you, look up to the work. What message do you have for them?
Oh, several. I think
I love that. Maybe we should have a master class with JJ Malaya.
I know, 33, and if I had my NIF days, I'm talking about 35 years.
Yeah.
After 35 years, I can tell you so many things, but if I were to really pinpoint 2 or 3, number one, never rest on your laurels. You may think you're the best, but there are 20 other people snapping at your heels. So you cannot think that I'm untouchable. Everybody can be dislodged, right?
Correct.
Number 2, believe in yourself, because a lot of times what happens is people start looking around and seeing what others are doing, and then they try to kind of keep up in the rat race. Nobody wins in a rat race. So it's a pointless, race to run. And also you've got to be very alive to the fact that what you do is yours because you love doing it. So keep focusing on it, make it the best. For the simple reason that if you think every person in the world is going to love your clothes, you're mistaken. You will have your segment who will swear by you. You will have a segment which will hate you. Get used to that. Focus on the ones who love you. Give them experiences they can never forget. And that's it.
Favorite city?
Oh, I love Delhi. It is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I also like Italy as a country. But city, I guess, the heart beats in India.
Most stylish politician?
I think Mr. Scindia does a good job.
Okay.
Because he's a royal, so he has an innate sense of style. I'd say in terms of dressing, he does a good job.
One historical figure you'd like to dress?
I mean, I wish I'd met Marilyn Monroe. That would have been fun.
Fabulous. Favorite craft?
Anything that is done by hand painstakingly. We've spent our life doing that.
So if let's say if that is, okay, one piece you'd say you just like to describe which is close to you. I won't say favorite or special. Any piece
but
that
then
you
actually good we stopped here.
Yeah.
This particular garment that you see.
The menswear.
Menswear. This guy.
Yeah.
This piece as is 14 years old.
Oh wow. Designed 14 years ago?
This particular piece is 14 years old.
Wow.
It is a legacy piece of ours.
Huh.
14 years later also, everybody wants it. I'm just trying to give you a perspective.
Yeah.